This lower steering shaft is for anyone with a 2007 to 2018 JK that are looking to replace the lower steering shaft because the U-joints are starting to wear out and you're starting to get a little bit of a sloppy feel in your steering. This is going to be a 3 out of 3 wrenches for the installation, and we are going to show you how to get it done in just a second. So if you look at this steering shaft, you're going to see 2 very small U-joints in here, and those U-joints aren't unlike the ones that are in your drive shaft. Of course, as I said, these ones are going to be a lot smaller, but not unlike the U-joints that are in your drive shaft, these eventually are going to wear out on you. Now, because your steering shaft isn't spinning at as many RPMs, it's going to take much longer for them to eventually wear out, but when they do, you really don't have too much of a choice but to replace this shaft. These are not going to be serviceable like the universal joints that you'll find in a drive shaft. As you can see on here, these ones are punched into place. Your factory one is also going to be punched into place. Now this is going to come in at right around that $300 mark, which I don't think is too bad of a deal for what you're going to get here, especially when you consider how much you would have to pay for one that does come out of that Mopar box. And like I said, 3 out of 3 wrenches for the install, so let's show you how to get it done.
Tools required for this installation are going to be a 13mm socket with an extension and a 3/8 drive. Optional is going to be this universal swivel, 3/8 drive, and impact, but you will need a ball peen hammer and a pry bar to get that steering shaft out of the way. All right, so the first step is to get your steering shaft in a position where you can access that bottom bolt easily. So I'll show you how to do that now. So as you can see right down there, that's my lower bolt for my steering shaft. What I'm doing now is turning my wheel to the left to easily access that bolt. I think that should be good right around there. So what we're gonna do now is take a 13mm socket on a universal swivel and break free that bolt, but not remove it completely. And I am using a 3/8 air ratchet for this. So I'm just breaking it free first, and then I'll get some of those threads out. Just like that, and then we can move to the top. So I've already moved my steering wheel over just a little bit to get access to that bolt. Again, we're just gonna break this free and then take a few of those threads out. So since we're removing our steering shaft, there's nothing physically connecting our steering wheel to our steering rack. What we gotta do is put our seat belt through our steering wheel and then back into our seat belt buckle itself. Let me bring the seat up. And that way, when we remove that shaft, the steering wheel won't freewheel and break that clock spring, which is for your airbag. So what we're gonna do now is remove this upper bolt. And then I'm also going to take a ball peen hammer just to try to break free the spline here. You can see it moving just a little bit. And there we go. Now your top is disconnected. We're just gonna leave it hang down there. And the bottom is loose, so we may be able to pull that out as well and not have to use a pry bar, but it looks like we may have to. So I already went underneath and completely removed that bolt from the lower portion of our steering shaft. Now I'm going to bring in a pry bar to help separate it from our steering box itself. So I'm just going to turn, and look at that, it just slid right off. All right, so now we're gonna get the steering shaft out of here. So what we're gonna do now is place our new steering shaft into position, and we're gonna get the lower portion in first, get it in from underneath and start that bolt. So right now I'm just lining up the splines with the steering box output, and it usually just slips right on. All right, so now I'm underneath the Jeep. I'm actually in between my front axle and the oil pan with my 13mm on a universal swivel. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten up that bolt. All right, now we're gonna get the upper portion of our new steering shaft into place. And again, we're reusing the factory hardware. So we're going to start a couple threads here and then finish it off with my impact. So that's going to wrap up my install of the steering shaft replacement for your Jeep JK. For all things Wrangler, keep it here at ExtremeTerrain.com.